This is now Common Ground. It used to be Town Star. We're going to go over the different modes and definitely get in here and try out the Common Ground mode that they have added. It used to be just casual and events. And I really would play over here in the events section. The event tends to have spots where you can do competitions. This has now they're doing one that ends in a day and a half, or almost 2 days, selling pumpkin pies. It looks like they're going to be doing it again. So this might be the test. Yep, test. And then there's usually two tests and then the actual competition. This one is still this week and get ready for a pie athlon. I think this might be the still a test, but they typically do a couple of tests and then they have the event. So this one definitely has already ended. This might be the event here. So a test and then the event. Basically, this helps you prepare for creating pies. And when you get in there, you'll realize that there are certain buildings that require certain things. Hey, Sabretooth. Good evening to you too. It is evening for us. Afternoon. No, I guess it's, well, I don't know. It's 2 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. We're in that in between stage. Yeah, right now they're doing the pie competition. I haven't really.
What the fuck, dude?
That's Captain back there. I haven't really done much with pies or baking in this one yet, but it's pretty basic. I mean, pretty simple, I should say, not basic. Pretty simple in that you start out farming a certain ingredient. You're probably going to need some um, wheat, and then that converts over into pie, and then you have to have like probably some special ingredient to make it pumpkin, right? So all these things add in. I didn't like again, like I said, I don't really know what the ingredients that goes into this, but that's what I mean though, is you just start out with one and then you'll end up converting it with another, and then you have to make this pie and sell it and do so many, and then once you do create and sell so many of them, you get put on a leaderboard. And I'm telling you that some of these people get pretty crazy. Like, I'll just jump into this one real quick so we can kind of get an idea about it, but I really want to go over Common Ground. Gluten free, right? No guarantees. This is all organic, and we don't know what's really going into that. We haven't tested it. So, probably lots of gluten. So, what this means here is that your plot here is in the middle, and then these are what are going to be surrounding your plot. This is a good thing to see because you have water at the edge here. This will hydrate anything that you need to be hydrated, like plants, because they need to have water. And if you don't have them near the edge where there's a river, you have to have people that transport water over to that space. Um, it really is cool. It is, and it used to be called Town Star, and then they moved it over to Common Ground. And I think that was when they added in the other mode, and they wanted the other mode to possibly be the more dominant game type. Hey, Jamal. Hey, thanks for coming in. So we're going over Common Ground right now. Well, this is the Town Star portion of it. And so, yeah, river's here. And then down here is the forest. There, like it shows you, there's no proximity effects, but being near the forest is okay. If you were near something like a mountain, that would cause issue because then you wouldn't be able to put like windmills and things near it because it would create a block of airflow and you wouldn't be able to get the timing that you want because it's all about timing and how long that you can produce things like sometimes it can take you 20 seconds for some things, and then if you put it in the wrong spot it could go up to like 10 minutes. So like 20 seconds to 10 minutes is a big gap, so you got to know where you're placing everything. And then this is the ocean, and so you'd think that you would be near the water and that would be a cool thing to have, but it's actually pretty salty, so it doesn't like hydrate anything. Doesn't matter what you put near that space, It's not going to hydrate it. It is pretty salty, so it would probably benefit something more like sand or salt mines, things like that. Again, I haven't messed with those too much. When you get in there, you'll realize that there's a lot that they can do with this. Um, like they'll have you farm. Like one time they had us farming ore, and there are 3 different types of ore that you can claim from that, and then you convert the ore into bars, right? And then the bars can be turned into jewelry, and there are different types of jewelry that you can make. And of course, the jewelry requires like, so if you're making a bracelet, you need the links that are creating the bracelet, but also the clasp. You have to make these separately and then combine them together. So there's a lot. There's like it's this huge process from like start to end of manufacturing, claiming things from the land, manufacturing it, and then getting it sold. And even getting it sold has requirements. There's gas that's required to ship things out. And in this instance, for this event, they're only requiring 1 gas. But sometimes I've had 2 gas, and that's really frustrating because then you're having to farm double the amount of gas in order to sell the amount of things that you need to. Hey, Blue Skies. So this one is kind of a player based because when you get in here, everything that you're doing is creating points, and those points are putting you on a leaderboard. This is idle based as well. You can choose to toggle that on or off. I'm not very great at understanding the aspects of the auto sell prop thing that it has here. You can customize it, but what I found is that I'd put this one to sell 0, and I would have everything else sell, right, that I would want to sell, and it would still sell my gas. And if you sell all of your gas, you ain't going nowhere. You're not selling anything. Everything becomes a standstill, and your plot ends up dying, and you end up ending the event because you can no longer progress. So gas is super important, especially in the beginning, because you have no refineries that are creating gas for you. This is kind of your limit in that you need to sustain until you can get refineries, and the refineries have all kinds of requirements, and they also impose issues on other buildings that are nearby. So if you put them nearby things that are trying to craft, those crafting stations will just fail almost, in the sense that you're taking longer to create them. But the online aspect is here, Jamal. You get designated a number based on the amount of points that you gain by selling things and creating buildings and progressing on your map. And then if you get so many, you end up being number 1. Now, this is a play test, so these people are farting around basically.
Dude,
But
get off me.
when the real dogs come out, when the event happens,
Dumb.
it's almost instantaneously that you realize that you are not going to go anywhere very fast. And there are people that get up there in the millions. And this is nothing. This is actually maybe even billions, because this is like, this person would probably be overshadowed by the people that come out and do the events, because this is just a playtest. It is very much a thinking game, because you have these people that are walking around and they suck up your money. And I'm just sitting here, they've been sucking up money. I've started out with 25,000, and they've taken off that much just sitting here trying to farm the areas that they're intended to farm. And you have different guys that do different things, and those based on the houses that you're putting down. These houses are farmhouses. So if I wanted somebody to do something different, like logs, I would need to put down a log house, and the guy would pop out and he'd go out and start logging. He would also need storage, and that becomes a huge issue in this game. Huge. Having enough storage for everything. And so there's storehouses. This only stores certain types of materials. Same thing with wood sheds. And there's a couple other more that you can incorporate in there depending on what you're creating. This one's a pumpkin patch. So I would take this and I would actually bring it back to the silo, and it would get stored here. And then I would turn that into something else, and then it could potentially be placed here, or it could be placed in, there's one other one that you end up bringing in, another storehouse. And so you could just imagine, just looking at some of these So this is just farming right here. This one here is just singular, just farming. All we're doing is pulling up items, right? 35 million, that was insane. And that's nothing. That's nothing. Yeah. And it is like a real life game for sure. Yeah, the test it's helpful because you can kind of help designate your area. First thing, before I get into that menu, you have different. If you can tell, there's different colors to the map. There's this light space here that's light green, and then there's dark green, and those are designated based on the water content of that space. And when they're near ponds tends to hydrate that space, or if they're near the rivers. And again, this is that what I was saying when it was next to you're having rivers next to you, so you can place things here. So really, what I'm going to end up doing is getting rid of these ponds because they're kind of taking up space. This is it. This is the amount of squares that you get, and believe me, you fill them all up. It is a play to earn. I have gotten a few airdrops of NFTs that I can incorporate into the game. I do need some Ethereum, and Ethereum is pretty pricey, so I haven't incorporated them. But I do have like 4 NFTs that I can incorporate here that will help, and they are basically increased buildings. The buildings have better timing rates on when they produce what they produce. Like these ones produce flour, sugar, salt, and they all take a certain amount of time. And this is just a basic estimate because that can fluctuate depending on where this is sat. It is a windmill, and believe it or not, they cannot sit near anything that is taking up wind space. So you can't really put them near other buildings, even each other, or it causes the time to increase. It's really frustrating. But eventually I'll end up putting a lot of these patches down here over by the river and keeping them over there so I can get rid of the pond. And then that way it frees me up for some more moving, more play space. And you do use it all. You use everything that you've got here. The NFTs are tradable. You can pull them out of your wallet and have them sit in your Gala account, and then you can trade them on the open marketplace. They have done other airdrops other than NFTs. I have gotten Gala, and it's not in Ethereum. It's in some other chain token, whatever. So I can convert it back over, but I have gotten some Gala coin out of this as well, just by playing and doing the event. Did an event, and then I got some coin out of it, and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. I don't even know how far I progressed. I don't even think it was very far, but you don't need those necessarily. They are just there to help boost up the buildings you already have. Some of them also change the way that they look, so you can kind of get a different style out of it. They had some events for like Halloween. Anything that has like a theme, they're adding a theme to the game and creating an NFT based around it. And then a lot of the time they'll put it as an event, and then you can win one if you get up to like 25. I've never gotten to an NFT, but I try. Usually what ends up happening is I'll start out and it'll start me out at like 14,000, right? I don't know where I'm at right now. Where am I? Okay, so this is the zeros. This is people who have not done anything on their map, but they have started their map. And this is where I'm at, right? Somewhere in here, somewhere in the like late hundreds or early 200s. And when you first start out on an event, if you start out on day 1, you start out around 1,400, and I stay there the whole time. Like I don't move, I don't go anywhere, because and even though this will change, like I will be progressing my map, and I'll get like 20,000, I think 100,000, somewhere in there. It was like my top number, but I'm still over here, like 1,400 somewhere, and I can't move up the leaderboard to get to 25 because everybody up here is doing it idly. And I haven't quite figured that out. So I just play it while I'm on, and then I have it turned off while I'm not on. So I need to figure this out. I just really fear that it's going to sell my gas because gas is so precious. And I've had it do that to me before. So when you are working on your map, you have this store window, and they, depending on which event you're working on, you're going to be working in that window. So we're doing farming, majority of everything, not it's not excluded to just the screen, but majority of everything that I'm going to be working from is going to be from this window. There are going to be some other things that I'm going to have to incorporate into my farm to make it sustain. And that's going to be usually over here where we have our energy and our gasoline production. So some buildings will need energy in order to function. And if you don't have it, that building will not go. So you need to have things like wind turbines or what are they called? Power plants. And of course they have their issues. So the wind turbine cannot be near anything that it's going to be in conflict with. It has to pretty much be out there in the middle of nowhere by itself for quite a few, like 3x3 square or something, around it. And you can't put anything within that bounds or the time will just be crap. But so this is like an early game item. You want to use a lot of these in the beginning and you want to spread them around near the edge of your map where you're going to have like your trees and your trees. Because if you put these near plants like crops, the crops tend to do worse, but these are okay. So it depends on if you want to sacrifice some of your crop time for your wind turbine, but these do okay in near crops. So sometimes I've done that and then eventually end up getting rid of the wind turbine and replacing it with the power plant. The problem with the power plant, though, of course, is always an issue. The power plant requires a lot of energy, a lot, not just to create. So this is just creating. This is what you need in order to create it, put it on your map. But in order to get it to function, you need a lot of energy from this, or not. Is it energy? No, it's not energy. It's, hold up, rewind. It is he's up here, oil pump. It's this crap, the crude oil. And so it turns the crude oil into energy. That's what it does. Crude oil into energy. And the crude oil is really frustrating because it consumes your map. And it takes quite a bit of time to make. Like it's 2 minutes solid. So when you put them down, you need like 20 million of them. And they all need to be connected to a road. So you can't just have them sitting out there like in a cluster all by themselves. You need to have them near road. So you need to kind of figure out how you're going to place your road around here to make sure everything connects. But then also leave enough space to where you can have all of the items you need. Because if you have too much road, then you have not enough space for items. So you have to try to figure out how to route your roads to figure out how you're going to progress your town. And I try to base that like early on. I try to remove my farms and place them in some corner of the map, like over here by the ocean, because I'm not going to be benefited by the ocean. So I'm just going to move those over there by the ocean. I will plant trees here and I'll get rid of the natural trees and I'll plant artificial trees over here by the rivers along the edge. And these only do well on that one square right on the edge. And if you put them any further in, their time at which they create more trees is like increased a lot. So the best place for these is along the edge, along with your plants, your crops. Your crops, usually you can place them like this 3 space up here. They can usually go up to like this really light green. This one is where it's usually crap, like this middle one here. And that's usually where you put your refineries and such. See, as you can tell, I'm decreasing. Went from 25,000 down to 23 just sitting here. And one thing to note is that when he comes over here, he's destroying those because my space is full. So when he comes over, he's just throwing them away and I'm not collecting any of them, which means I'm not selling and I'm not doing anything. So this one is really cool for the event, so definitely check it out. It's got 1 day, 19 hours left. Again, the gas is an issue. I'm definitely going to come back and relive this one.